It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company. Tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. I felt it towards the end of the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. At the very end of the show, I asked Buck, I asked Blaine, do the Tennessee Titans cover today? And they both said no, and I said yes, and I felt really good. And I was saying no all week, up until the last moment. That's all the injury report come down. Tyrese Knight is out. Ernest Jones is out. I was like, I don't know. I feel like the Tennessee Titans are going to cover this game. And boy, oh boy, did we probably get the most fun game of the season played by the Tennessee Titans. Still resulted in a loss. But 30-24, they fall short to the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of good. I'm joined by the Dr. Kevin Dyson, the scholar Stoney Keeley. I'm the Professor Zach Lyons. And Dyson, take it away. You actually can be positive without coming off as just trying to find positivity.
Yeah, the former player. I say this, man. I think if you look at the trajectory from the last few weeks, and I'm speaking offensively right now.
Yes.
You've seen little bits of wrinkles of things that they're trying to do to engage this offense, whether it be the hurry up, the types of runs. I think even some of the passing plays have changed, if you will. I'm saying that in quotations, a little bit to help this offense be a little bit more efficient. And a little thing that I've noticed, especially since the second half of last week, is Cam is using his legs a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And we've been saying that on here for the longest, just extend drives, make that a part of what they have to prepare for, and they being opposing defenses. And I think he added that little wrinkle. He's not just a statue sitting back there. We all know he wants to pass. We know he wants to read. But you add that wrinkle, it adds another element that they have to be concerned about. And I think that's something he's starting to build upon. I thought offensively they showed glimpses of what they could potentially be and do with some consistency. The penalties, again, is going to hurt you regardless. I don't care in circumstances how good your team is. You can't. And we saw it from the Seahawks today as well. They had a lot of penalties too. But penalties are something this team is just not where they can overcome at a consistent rate. Defensively, I mean, it's hard. I thought this wasn't one of their better games, but also they're playing one of the most prolific offenses in the National Football League right now. So for the most part, you think, okay, they held in and made this game competitive. But, the times you didn't hold in, obviously, they had it counted. But, man, start from the opening drive, the going the length of the field, going for it on fourth down. The only disheartening thing was that settling for 3 and not a touchdown. But when was the last time we seen a drive like that and you're like, got you excited for the rest of the game? And just to see them go down the field, converted one third down, but convert third downs, convert the fourth downs, make some plays running and passing, just doing some things differently to actually get you excited about the offense. And then my last little tidbit, I'll let you guys take over and we'll get to the show. But what about Restrepo getting the lead? How about it? He had 6 targets today in his first action. That tells you if a quarterback is familiar with you and trusts you, he's going to try to find you. And he hadn't played a lick of football since Miami in preseason, but and he had 6 targets and 2 catches. But kudos to him, man. I know that feeling. Get your first catch in the National Football League, man. It's congratulations.
Well, you talked about the opening drive. It was a 15-play, 9-minute, 9-second drive that ended with a field goal. It's the longest opening drive since 2000, at the very least, for the Tennessee Titans. And then on top of that, it's the longest opening drive since 2005.
Wow.
So 9 minutes and 9 seconds, incredible opening drive. We'll talk more about time of possession, why it was a good thing, and maybe why it was a bad thing. But your thoughts on Cam Ward's day, because obviously 615-737-1045, we want to hear from you. I mean, here's how good here's how good Cam Ward played today, Stoney, because you're in the chat a lot. The F&M Bank chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live is where you can join and interact with us. Bryce Art in the chat is actually giving props to Cam Ward.
Bryce R is giving props? Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, I tell you what, Zach, this Seahawks defense is no joke. Going into today's game, they were allowing an 84.32 passer rating on average. Cam Ward 91 today. Only Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, and Trevor Lawrence have posted better numbers against this defense this season. I thought for Cam Ward to do what he did with this supporting cast against this defense with heart to spark this team late, because that touchdown run where he was over the top, that sparked this team to keep fighting into the fourth quarter. What he did today was so impressive. It felt like real growth, real progress for Cam Ward and this Titans offense today.
Yeah, for me, I look at it like this. Cam Ward, you're right. He was an inspiration kind of today. This was like a little bit of what we kind of thought Cam Ward could be, that we saw glimpses of. But this is the first time I walked away from a game from Cam Ward where it's like, hey, yeah, there's probably like one or two passes that, he would have liked to have back. Whereas typically we're talking about, there's only 1 to 2 good passes or wow passes, I guess I should say, wow passes. And I think coming out of the bye week, there was some major retooling. They talked about the self-scouting and the way that they called plays, especially that opening drive. It was just like, heck, if you just keep calling those same 15 plays for the rest of the game and you may win it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot, you saw Cam Ward's creativity, his improvisation, to your point, the chemistry, but also the ability to elevate everybody kind of around him, right? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about he's throwing out there to a couple of undrafted, the highest drafted people that he threw to today were James Prochet, journeyman, who was drafted, I think, second round out of SMU to the Baltimore Ravens, and then Van Jefferson, second round pick. I mean, those are the two highest guys highest drafted guys he threw to. Everybody else that was getting targets, 4th, 5th round, undrafted free agents. That tells you that right there, while the offensive line suffered injuries, he was still able to kind of be, it wasn't perfect, but if you want, that was the closest to being the number 1 overall pick kind of play that we've seen all year.
Yeah. And the decision-making, too, to protect the ball.
I was just about to say that. That's exactly what I was about to say. And I think, too, I want to stop here and give some credit to the offensive line. I thought, I'm running the football, they struggled a little bit. I mean, they didn't get a whole lot of push. I think Cam led the team in rushing and with his legs. But there was plenty of times they got the unlucky sacks, the ones where you got a good pocket and he's got to escape and the guy happens to come off his block late and gets the sack. It was kind of one of those. No, it wasn't just the just completely get demoralized by a guy across from you type sacks where you just get flat out beat. They were holding up and had a pretty decent pocket. It's evident throwing over 40 times in a game. But, it just – I know we're in the land of positivity right now at a loss, right? I think what it goes back to is what you started with the show with, Zach, is the expectation with this game was like, well, they probably going to get beat bad just going to the next one. But they actually competed and really, I'm trying to think of in that probably latter second part of the second quarter into probably the end of the third quarter – you take away that gap of time, it's a different ball game. I think you let them extend that lead a little bit, and during that time, if you could have kept them out of the end zone maybe 1 or 2 of those times, I think we were talking about overtime or possibly winning this football game. And,
it's a different ball game.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk more about this game and others. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to talk about Cam Ward, this defense, where they go from here, what this means for the future. Got a lot to get to. We'll also get to your phones. We've got Eric, Titanomist, Zach, and whoever's calling in right now. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 1045 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Fusion Site is the Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom, trailer, and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. 615-737-1045 is number. And hey, if we're going to go to the phones, you know who we got to go to first? We got to go to Eric. Eric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
So, guys, since I'm first, let me be the first one to say, guys, hope you guys, all the listeners out there, everybody out there has a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Enjoy the turkey. Don't eat too much of it now and don't get that tryptophan. So, y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, a couple of things. First of all, one of the things, and I didn't pay no attention to this, guys, but I was asked by some of the fans in my section, there's been calls complaining about the fact that the Titans organization would be playing music while the Titans have the ball, and they were asking, I don't know if there's anything you can do about that. I wasn't paying no attention because I was in conversation with some of the other fans as well as Seattle fans who, by the way, were very, very polite and respectful. And but just throwing that out there. So, but there's been some complaints about some of the fans about them playing music on like drives in when the Titans have the ball. So I'm not going to get into that. But guys, as far as the game itself, was very, very happy that we came back and fought back and made it close. I mean. But the unfortunate thing, bottom line is you want to win because closeness on the counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, not football scores. I'm glad we haven't gotten blown out home in the last 3 games. But here's the main thing, guys, I'm frustrated about is the inopportune times that we get penalties or Cam gets sacked because it seems like it's just still that reoccurring theme on the first drive where we wound up setting a field goal. We should have had a touchdown. I believe Cam got sacked, and I believe we either had a false start or holding call. But here was the main thing I had issue with was the next drive where when we got the punt, we wound up inside the 5-yard line, which I thought we should have just let the ball go out of bounds. But then after that, we got a good run on the first play. But then on the very next play, we were called for having 12 men in the offensive huddle. How in the world does something like that happen? Then we get another good run. And then that's called back because of a holding call against Skoronski. And then, of course, we eventually wound up punting the ball. And it just seems like every time – we always get some sort of either penalty or Cam gets sacked or something happens. We get this inexplicable call like 12 offensive men in the huddle. I just don't get how stuff like that just time and time again keeps happening to us. Guys, I'll get off. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, Eric. So 12 men on the field for an offensive huddle. Is that the person? Is that the person that is coming onto the field's responsibility?
And I'm just going to go off of this circumstance. Okay. And from my vantage point, because I was thinking the same thing, what happened, we just got the big play by DK.
Yeah.
He got the big play. They changed personnel grouping as he was celebrating, and they may have subbed him out because of the energy. They would sub. He's coming off injury. Kenzie came in to give him a breather. And he may not have gotten the information, the communication. Yeah. And he get in the huddle, you calling out the play. You're not thinking he's there because you saw him like, oh, wait, you're in the game. Where am I supposed to go? But I think he was supposed to be substituted out. Now, to go back to your question, usually if you sub in somebody, you give them a nod or something, let them know I'm going in for you. So it just was a lack of communication. And he may have just been celebrating, not been hearing it anyway. He was in that moment. He was in, I just made a big play for this team in that moment and may not even heard it. So that's not coaching. That's not player. That's a human mistake. Like somebody missed something. Those things happen. Unfortunately, in the circumstance which it was backed up, when you just got a big play, that was kind of like a take the air out of your sails kind of a moment because you just had the big play. And now, then you go back and get this penalty that cost your team ultimately in that drive. But that's how stuff like that happens. It's obviously an accident. It's not like when I grab somebody's face mask or hog tie them or whatever you call it in circumstances like that. But I remember thinking, I said, man, people are going to call about that one.
Well, what do y'all think about this? Because he does bring up a lot of the penalties, but I feel over the last 2 weeks, we've seen this team do something we haven't seen it do in a long, long time, and that's overcome penalties.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, J.C. Latham had a, illegal formation call on the drive where they scored a touchdown.
They said he was in the backfield.
Yeah, they said he was in the backfield,
but
we don't get any replay on Fox Sports for whatever reason. It was like the Jihad Ward personal foul at the very beginning. We have no clue what that was other than it was a personal foul. But I mean, it kind of seems like, they got a lot of penalties today. Both teams did. There was 21 penalties called on both of these teams combined. That referee was the happiest referee I've ever seen approach the camera and announce a penalty. I mean, he smiled every time, which good for him, I guess. But
get that airtime.
Get that airtime. But it seems like this team, more often than not, the last 2 weeks has been able to overcome penalties specifically on offense. And that's something we haven't been able to say.
Yeah, that's a sign of getting better, I think. Obviously, we saw a trend when the penalties went down a little bit, and they spiked up a little bit last couple of weeks. But I think to your point, Zach, most good football teams in the National Football League overcome those more often than not. You can't always overcome them.
Right.
You get a 50-yard play and you get a unsportsmanlike, it brings you back 15. That's hard to overcome that. That just takes all your energy out. But I think what we're starting to see is some growth. And I think there was the time in the beginning of the season when that conversation and what we want to see this year was growth, getting better towards something. And I think we're finally, at least from the last 2 weeks, offensively specifically, we're starting to see that growth, and you feel like they are charging towards something. They're getting a little bit better. Now, we were talking off air. Does that equate to wins in the last 6 games, going 500-ish maybe? But I think the excitement or the positivity that we're hearing from fans, coaches, even us, is it seems, even against odds where nobody thought they were going to have a chance being in this game, and there was a time you would have thought that too because Seattle started to pull away, that they are progressing in the right kind of way. It might be small steps, but I would take that other than what we saw, week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, where it was just like, I don't know what's going to happen. The conversation was, should we even bench Cam? Coach got fired in that window. Like, there was a lot going on of negativity at that time where you was like, they're just not getting better. And I feel like the last 2 weeks or so, especially since the bye week, it's been like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. Oh, they're adding this, no huddle, more pace. They're doing some things, and the guys are getting better.
Yeah, and I think I don't blame Eric for feeling that way about the penalties. I think
absolutely
the penalties are kind of a triggering thing for this fan base when you look at how this team performed earlier in the season. I think the area I would point to and say there's been progress made is that these disastrous penalties used to back this team up. So you'd have one, and then it'd back you up 5 yards, and then you'd have another 10 more yards, and then you're looking at third and Knoxville. That happened in this game, right? That happened, the instance that Eric is talking about, but I don't feel like that's happening as frequently as it was at the beginning of the season. So I think there's a little bit of like Titans fans, we're having flashbacks watching the offense move backwards, but the reality is while, you don't want to see the penalties impact the game directly, it feels like they are able to overcome these penalties and these disastrous compounding penalties, one right after the other after another. That's happening less frequently, and that's where it does kind of feel like a little bit of maturation and progress on the part of this offense this season.
And there were a few ticky-tack fouls called on them.
Yeah, there were some questionable ones,
Peter Skoronski, I think a hold call was, I don't really think it was a hold.
The chop block on
the
James
chop block
Prochet.
on the James Prochet. Then they also missed on Xavier Restrepo, I think, two penalties. They missed the face mask or the helmet-to-helmet or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact phrasing you would actually use, but on that same play, he's clearly holding his arm back before as the ball's arriving, and they missed, I think, 2 penalties they could have called on that play. And it's not to listen. You still got 10. Seahawks got 11 penalties. You got 10 penalties.
I was going to say the Seahawks going to say the same thing.
It's almost a wash, right? Like it's almost a wash. But both teams were able to overcome it. But you expect a team like the Seahawks with their efficiency and the way that they are coached to overcome it. We haven't really seen this team do it, but the last 2 weeks they kind of have, which is kind of remarkable.
Looking at Seahawks, I think if you were a Titans fan, that's kind of a mirror to what you want. You want an attacking, aggressive style of defense to get after the quarterback, but an efficient offense that makes big plays when needed, but they're pretty methodical and they protect the football.
Yeah.
And they have a two-headed monster at running back. Now, they have an alpha wide receiver right now. He's one of the best in the game. But that aside, the compliments are still making plays too, tight ends and included in that. And I think if you look at that from a Titans perspective, a team that had a couple lean years as they got a new head coach and they even recycled coaches and things like that. That is something to look at. And Sam Darnold is a guy who's had to go get seasoned. He took his lumps. He took his lumps as a future star in this league and had to go be a journeyman for a little while until he got to Minnesota. And we were going to talk about him here next year, like for this season, because he was a free agent. And now look at him; he's throwing that consistency. The story about him and Baker is just, my man Bryce Young, it just shows you the story of resiliency, especially with these young quarterbacks, that if you can stick through it, get people to give you a chance and learn, you can be pretty good. And again, going back home, his experience is a cruel teacher, but the experience that Cam is getting right now, you just hope is going to benefit him down the road, because we're starting to see, and we have seen, growth in him. Now we're starting to see it on a weekly basis.
Well, he himself has said that this game's starting to slow down for him. In today's press conference after the game is like, everything is kind of slowing down for me, or I'm speeding up, however you want to say it.
Yeah, and this Seahawks offense is so much fun to watch. The way Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak attack space, it makes it so that if you can protect the quarterback, it doesn't matter what you're doing on defense, because he's going to scan the field and he's going to find the open space, and they are going to attack it. Clint Kubiak recognizing the matchups and getting Jackson Smith and Jigba outside one-on-one with a safety. They have two explosives off of that formation, and finding that matchup, it's really difficult to stop that. And I can't help but wonder if this is a different outcome for this ball game if they stop even just one of those big explosive plays. But that is, you look at what you want this Titans offense to be, and to me, that is, like Dr. Dyson says, it's one of the next steps you want to see Cam take to be able to see it, feel it in real time, find and attack space.
Well, just think if he had to lead dogs at running back like the Seattle Seahawks do. Just think if he had Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Offensive line.
We're talking about a totally different team. Offensive line.
This consistency at offensive line. Don't get me wrong, they've had their moments, and today I thought they pass protect pretty well. But if they had that consistency throughout the year, they've had some injuries and all that kind of stuff. If that alone would change, because I'm just thinking about Cam's progression. He's getting more comfortable because he's running. Remember, I don't know why early in the year he just would not run. He just sat there, and there'd be times like go. Then he would try to go late. Yeah. And then that's like today he did the same thing, kind of held on to it, and he tried to go late, and then a sack occurred as the guys are disengaging from their blocks and things of that nature. There's only so much the O-line can do. You got to help them out just as much as they help you out. But in that, you can see over the special last several weeks, he's picked up the pace with his legs and extended drives and sliding and all the things. And I think that is also feeding into the guys. Like, okay, here's our quarterback. He started making those plays. I can just speak from experience. How many times we look back and McNair's running like 30, 40 yards, big play, crowd gets excited, and I'm like, we in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that does something to you. So, that's good to see him growing in that fashion.
Let's go. Oh, real quick. Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick, I like the way the comfort level, not only is he running the ball, but did you see the pump fake he threw on that linebacker on that one scramble where he pumps it? And if he doesn't do that, that guy had a free lane right at him. And because he pump fakes, the guy jumps in the air and it buys Cam enough time and yardage to convert. That's a savvy move that you're getting comfortable when you're out there manipulating the linebackers and stuff like that.
When he chose to run, he was very decisive with it.
Yes,
outside of maybe one play, even the touchdown run, either it was designed, which is my feeling, a designed run by Cam Ward, or he was so decisive he made it look like a designed run.
Yep.
So, but I mean, good for him. Let's go to Titanomics. Titanomics, you're on with Titans Talkback.
What's up, gentlemen? Shout out to the YouTube chat like always, but let me get straight to it real quick. Hey, Arden surprised me. He's surprising me lately, so he gets, if we were to win, he would have got the game ball on defense. But then the backfield, Spears, man, we got to keep him and he got to start. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. And then also Chig coming through, man, we got to keep him. Him coming through, dropped that one pass, but it's all right. Pro Se, I'm surprised, man. I'm surprised. Restrepo, shout out to X. Shout out to Restrepo. And then DK, man, look, I can't speak highly of him every single week. I know he had some fumbles, but he made up for it. And then Cam Ward is the creator. He is going to be our future. I'm not worried about this guy at all. We just need to get him some speed and a better coach and a well-oiled O-line. Have a blessed Thanksgiving. Y'all take care.
Hey, thank you, Titanomics. And listen, I think he brings up a good point. I don't know if we've actually said it out loud or not, but no turnovers for the Rook.
No.
None.
None, which is great. And listen, there were a couple of times where like, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't fumble or I hope he doesn't throw an interception. And he decided, well, I'm going to hold on to the ball and fall down to the ground, or I'm going to throw it out. And that's something that we've talked about, is that you just got to hold on to the ball. And that's kind of a vet thing, to hold on to the ball or throw it out when you're outside the pocket.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple times he dirted passes too. Like and that goes back to like the comfort level. It feels like just operating the offense and just operating under the bright lights of the NFL. It feels like things are starting to slow down a little bit for him.
And I wonder too, and this, you can't help but be this way, especially if you're a first round pick. There's an amount of pressure you put on yourself to perform. You want to show your value. You want people to know that they picked the right person, right?
Right.
And you want to do all the things. And he's seeing what Dart did, or what whomever did across the NFL that's his counterpart, Shador or Gabriel, whoever that's in his draft class, and he paid attention to it. And I think it's now being more comfortable in your skin, be who you are, and that seems to be the sense. I think he's been comfortable in his skin. Don't get me wrong. I think he's now within whatever this staff wants out of him, this current staff as the makeup that it is without Callahan. I think he seems to be getting more comfortable. I don't know what the talk has been with him, been different. We want you to be you, be comfortable, but we also see his level of comfort, or his demeanor in his pressers is a little bit more on the professional side. He's starting to get it a little bit. He's starting to pick things up, and he understands he is the face of the franchise, and he's going to be here. And I just got to continue to grow as a leader, as a football player, as a person in this community. And you see that in him, and I think that's why so many people are excited about him.
I think so. All right, coming up next, we'll go to more of your phones. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll talk more about the offensive line and the defense as well. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And we were just talking a little bit about Arden Key, and Titanomics gave him a little bit of praise here. And let's check out today's final sack numbers.
How about it?
Thanks to Arden Key, the Titans had one sack versus the Seahawks, adding $100 to the already $3,000, bringing that total to $3,100 for Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee from Kroger. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery, plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com. Pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. And let's go straight to the phones. Let's go to Bruce. Bruce, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, first-time caller, just making sure I did it correctly.
You did.
I appreciate you all taking the time. Happy Thanksgiving and go Titans.
Thank you, Bruce.
I just wanted to touch base on this. I've seen it year after year, lifelong Titans fan. It just feels like since we're not a dominant team in the NFL and we haven't been consistently, that it seems like the narrative just doesn't go our way. Like, we're not a team where we can get through our own mistakes and roster issues and all of that, along with bad calls from the officiating crew. And just the perfect example, you touched on it with that call against Restrepo, or the no call against Restrepo, where it seemed like there was going to be 2 calls that should have been made there. But like on that 4th and 17 play when Cam Ward flipped it out to Gunnar Helm, we almost picked it up. If Patrick Mahomes or somebody had taken the shot that he took after that pass, they would have flagged him, fined him, burned him at the stake after the game. But because it's Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans, they're not even thinking about calling the flag. And it's just frustrating to see that week after week. I can't remember a game where I've watched it and said, man, we had some calls that go our way. We had some calls that went our way this week. So I don't know. It's just frustrating as a fan to see because, like I said, we don't have the roster depth and the skill right now to be able to power through everything else on top of that. But thanks again, guys. I'll shut up and listen now. Go Titans. Like I said, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bruce. I mean, I will say that, Cam Ward definitely hitting that ice bath today because he took a couple of big hits. The one, the Xavier Restrepo first catch that he made for 14 yards. I mean, he looks like a cartoon character that got launched out of a cannon when and into the sidelines, into the bench. And I mean, like, he's definitely in that ice bath.
Yeah, it's like the scene from Pineapple Express when they bust down the door and send Danny McBride's character flying across the bathroom. That's what it looked like.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah. It would give perspective on the Titans the last 2 weeks specifically. I mean, and I know a loss is a loss, and trust me, I've been an athlete my whole life. I hate losing. But I think you look at the last 2 weeks, you got the Texans in this week, and I think everybody thought they had a chance to get Houston, no way against Seattle. This show you how the NFL is. Like, the Texans beat Buffalo today without their starting quarterback. And Jared Allen, everybody was in there, and they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the NFL. That just goes to show you that if you put some things together, you can win in this league. You can. You just got to eliminate the mistakes, overcome mistakes, and be consistent and make plays. And health has a lot to do with it too. But my point is, Houston not even playing with their number 1 quarterback, and they're winning football games. So if there's a level of optimism and hope in these last 6 games that has brought on from these past 2 of keeping them close, being in them, playing against one of the best teams defensively and offensively in the NFL and going toe-to-toe, I think it lends yourself to be optimistic for the last 3. Now, what does that mean? I mean, last 6. What does that mean? I don't know. I just want to hopefully they're still trending in that positive direction.
Yeah, listen, I just want to point out there was somebody sitting in the studio last week saying they were feeling kind of funny about the Seahawks game and maybe something would go right, that the Titans might have a chance in this one. I don't want a victory lap or anything, but I just want to bring that up. To Bruce's call, and Bruce, you nailed it, brother. Call in anytime. The question that I would have, and I don't know if either of you have any insight to this, I don't think that it's some league-wide conspiracy or bias against the Tennessee Titans, but the way they trot out the officiating crews, I don't know, is that something similar to how they do the broadcast, where it may be like the D or the F team covering these lower marquee matchups, because we know like the Titans aren't in prime time or anything like that.
They got the U broadcast team today. I mean, like they were the letter U. Moose Johnston and whoever he was paired with were absolutely terrible.
It was not a good broadcast today. But my question is, like, if you're not getting the best of the officials, how does that impact the consistency? Because the Titans are not the marquee in the NFL right now. I would imagine they're on down the priority list. So it comes to a question of consistency and skill and application of the rules for me.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. I think first, officiating crews are evaluated as a core and individually each week, and that's how they decide who's in playoff games and up into the Super Bowl each year, based off of your performance throughout the year. So that there's some kind of metrics that they're measuring to get that. I also would think, and I don't know this, that it lends itself to make sense to, if you have a high profile game, meaning Monday night, Thursday night, you're probably going to lend yourself to move your most accurate, most consistent crews to those games. Although we do see some inconsistencies and things of that nature. I can think of a lot of primetime games where that happens. But I wonder, I don't know, that'd be something to find out. Do they get a schedule just like we get a schedule, and they know, so they're seeing every team or every city or things like that? I don't know, but that'd be interesting fact. But going back to what Bruce was talking about, we're in a smaller market. And as much as it has grown, it's still considered a smaller market. And so you almost lend yourself to get scraps, and you're not winning. Now, that being said, you see somebody like when the Lions were losing, they were always had a national TV game or two, especially Thanksgiving. Chicago always has. The Steelers always will. Green Bay Packers always will. There's certain franchises, they can go over, and you know they're going to be on national TV the next year. Why? Because their fan base and their markets. Not that Green Bay is one of the bigger markets, but that is one of the most historical franchises in the NFL. So they're always going to be relevant when it comes to national TV and exposure. I think the one thing that the Titans can say about all of that is, if you win, they will come. And that has happened here before when it was with getting all the attention. You just have to win football games. And I'm saying that like that's just easy. Oh, you just got to win football games.
You just gotta, it's very easy.
I don't mean it like that, but that's what happens.
But I mean, okay, let's take. Oh man, this is a good conversation that I'm going to carry this my question. I'm going to carry over my question over on the break. We're also going to go to Bustin as well. I had a guy named Tom that called in, and he wanted to talk about Kroger. Don't know what that conversation was about, but he hung up. I was really interested to hear why he wanted to talk about Kroger. I'm being told that Kevin Kugler was the play-by-play guy today with Moose Johnston. The Cougs.
Oh, gotcha.
The Cougs.
That's what I know him by. Yeah. If you had led with that, I would have known.
I should have called them the Cougs. The Cougs was... They did not like that producer that went down on Broadway and shot all those stuff. I mean,
here's our guy taking videos and pictures down on Broadway.
They were dreadful.
You know what it was?
Today.
They were jealous that he was on Broadway. And they had to watch the game
Cougs,
today.
You know, the Cougs loves a good honky tonk.
Yeah. If I know one thing about the Cougs, that's it.
There it is. All right, coming up next, we'll go to Bustin' and more of your phone calls, 615-737-1045. And does this game change the outlook of home attendance for the Tennessee Titans? This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. They're available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. The Dr. Kevin Dyson, the scholar Stoney Keeley, and I'm the Professor Zach Lyons. And let's just go straight to the phones because Bustin has been waiting patiently, and we got a special guest. I've been waiting to hear from this other guy right after Bustin. But let's first, Bustin, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Yo. Can y'all hear me today?
We can hear you.
Sir.
Awesome. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hopefully everyone has a happy and safe Turkey Day. Just want to start off by saying Strep Squad President checking in here. Hate to say I told you so, but the guy is an NFL player. You just got to give him a chance. The only other couple things I wanted to say today, guys, Cam looked spectacular. The one play that in particular that stood out to me outside of the touchdown drives was the pass to Chig while he was getting sacked is incredible foresight. How he was able to still get zip on that ball to complete it to Chig on that was incredible, and he turns the Levis mistakes into positives, which is ultimately the best thing and what we wanted out of Cam. And also just a little nugget of news for y'all. The Ravens are number 1 in the AFC North, and today Draymond Jones had 1.5 sacks. Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it,
I'm
Bustin.
just looking at that. Remember, people try to write Baltimore off, and they would still pick to win their division.
Yeah. 1.5 sacks. That means he only needs half a sack the rest of the way. And the Baltimore Ravens, who are leading the division, is that correct, Stoney?
That is correct, yeah.
If they make the playoffs, that 5th-round pick turns into a 4th-round pick. And as some would say, you let the Gons board.
Yeah. You could get a Chimere DK with that 4th-round pick, as we saw last year.
You could.
Well, I would say this. There's some players that completely change the dynamics of your team. They were 1-something. They were dead for water, and they won 5 straight when he got back. Y'all know who he is, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and they went out 5 since he's been back. So there's some players that change the game dramatically for their team,
And they're right there
like
with the
Xavier
Steelers.
Restrepo.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. The Steelers and the Ravens are like two ships passing in the night right now. The Steelers are heading out. The Ravens are heading in. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Xavier Restrepo since we just had the president of the Strep Squad on. Teron Davenport put up the offensive snap counts. Xavier Restrepo, 18 offensive snaps. He saw a target on a third of them, 6 targets, 2 catches on those 6 targets. So not a great reception percentage, but almost had a touchdown. Almost sometimes doesn't cut it, but still good game from Xavier Restrepo. Not only that, did he have 18 snaps, Mason Kinsey only had 6.
Uh-oh.
And I know Mason Kinsey's been around for a while, but that may be a sign that at least this current iteration of this coaching staff is saying, okay, it's time to see what Xavier Restrepo has. And obviously Cam Ward's connection, which is we always said this whole time, is that his connection with Xavier Restrepo may matter when Xavier Restrepo's on the field. And it did show up that it mattered. We just didn't know what Xavier Restrepo would be in real live game action against a top-tier Seattle defense. And while we all rooted for him, we just didn't know. And he came to play today.
You know what makes me believe is they went back and watched some college film on Cam Ward and implemented some of the schematics of that offense. Maybe not in a totality, but some of the routes that he's very comfortable in throwing to and with Restrepo or guys like that, I think they have looked at that and say, okay, how can we weave this with what we're doing? I bet you that's what's happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, at this point, like you feel like, gosh, you want to lean into the strengths of your players. That is a strength of Restrepo, is like the sort of backyard ball that those two played at Miami together. And I think they built that rapport. And that's where you see, while he might not be the most talented guy, the timing, the trust factor between quarterback and receiver, that matters. And that showed up today. His big catch over the middle, which, by the way, I think he had like 14 yards of separation on that play, by the way. It's elite separator, too. that play, he's running like a quick out route. He's running to the sideline, but when he sees the play breaking down and Cam vacates the pocket, that's when he starts drifting towards open space. He starts drifting back inside when the defense starts flowing towards Cam, and then he's wide open. Cam knows he's there. They've got that instinct. They've got that connection, and that's when Cam makes the play. And I think that is when, like, hand up, my bad, guys. I underestimated how important that could be for this Titans offense because it was clearly a factor between the two. I still don't think Restrepo is the biggest, most talented guy, but I think his performance today absolutely warrants a bigger look as the season goes on, because you might have something that can help move your quarterback along too and provide an element of unpredictability to this offense, because how do you defend two guys that just go rogue when the play breaks down? You don't know where they're just finding open space.
Well, we've seen it with Patrick Mahomes so many times, and Travis Kelce. And I'm not saying Cam Ward's Patrick Mahomes, nor am I saying that Xavier Restrepo is Travis Kelce.
But you saw them.
But you see them beyond. They just have this innate feeling for where each other are on the field.
Exactly. Remember a few weeks ago we were talking about cuts, and he did something extra. It's body language. It's quarterbacks are used to certain body languages, and we're taught as receivers, give the quarterback something so he knows you're about to make your move, about to make your cut. And the more you work with the guy, the more you understand and know his movements, his body language, right? Because you're throwing to him so much. They've already have that embedded in them. That's just kind of secondary to them now. They've worked in off seasons. They played multiple games together. They've gone through how many practices, and they've had these communications, those conversations as college kids, let alone in the pros. And it's just innate in their DNA now of what they do on the field. Like you said, it's backyard ball, but to us, but to them, it's just like we're just trying to make a play. That's it. And it's that body language. I understand he knows where I want him to go, where find that gap. How I want you to do. Oh, he's making his cut. He's about to sit down here. I'm gonna throw it right there. He likes the ball on this back shoulder. There's that familiarity where I don't have to quote unquote get to know somebody. I kind of already have that rapport with him.
And listen, let's be honest here. And I'm not trying to really down Kinsey as I am trying to promote Xavier Restrepo, but Restrepo, even heading into the draft, he was clearly a better route runner in my mind than Mason Kinsey. And I think that, but I also think when you take that plus the timing, the real question around Xavier Restrepo that anybody would tell you is his ability to have speed and separation at the NFL level, because we all saw it at training camp. It wasn't really there. And, of course, he's being thrown the ball by Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle, not really Cam Ward, but that's the pecking order, right? And listen, it took a lot of injuries for Xavier Restrepo to get his chance, but we all, I mean, I know specifically at least me, Blaine, and you two, if Xavier Restrepo got his chance, we're all rooting for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And he got his chance. He showed that, at least in this particular game, that he deserves another chance. He deserves another shot. In fact, he probably, at this point, depending on your roster numbers and your roster math, probably deserves a permanent spot just because injuries are happening. We know that Calvin Ridley's probably not coming back. Who knows? Bryce Oliver's at least gone for 3 more games. You've already kind of shown that you're going to start him over Mason Kinsey anyway. This seems to be the guy that you would want. And the noise from at least Cam Ward, too, is going to be a little too loud to ignore.
And I say this, too. You don't keep an undrafted free agent on your practice squad after cuts if you don't think they can play.
Right.
We may not have seen everything, practices, film, games, preseason games. There was something for them, A, to bring him here, and B, to keep him as long as they have. And I think that lends itself to think that there's something with him and Cam that they really are attracted to that maybe potentially could grow. Now, we'll see. I mean, it's year one. They got 6 weeks left in the season. He's got his first 2 career catches out the way. He's going to get more and more comfortable. And as we talked about
probably
earlier,
more and more targets.
More and more targets. Cam seems to be more and more comfortable, at least the last few weeks. And so it may manifest into something that is pretty hard to ignore when you talk about the future and what they decide to do with some of the veterans ahead. Some of the younger guys they've drafted or that have been here, that have lasted as long as they have. It's going to be interesting to see this offseason, A, Do they go free agent route and try to get another target? Or B, do they draft somebody or do a combination of two? And then what they do with these young guys that are still here?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think I would also add that I think a point of criticism for this offense has been how rigid it is in expecting precision, perfect timing, those sorts of things, like the way this thing is designed. It's like if you're not in the exact right spot at the exact right time, the play is blown up some. So that's not Restrepo's game, though. That is not what he does best, where he excels. So today, I would tip my cap to Mike McCoy, Bo Hardigree, and that staff for getting him out there, getting him some reps, and just letting them kind of flow and do their thing. So that, I think, is a positive development. To me, that signals we are going to let these guys be themselves, and the offense is benefiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Gorilla. Gorilla, are you ready to apologize to Van Jefferson?
Go.
Okay, so here it is, guys. I mean, with all due respect, man, I say that right there, tongue in cheek. With all due respect, you guys are jokes, man. Real talk. I was beating the Restrepo deal early on, before the season even started. It took us to get to this point, 11 games into the season. Come on, man. Now everybody's like, oh, and it could be something there. And then come on, Dice, man. Man, cut all that out, guy. I've been telling y'all, man, that should have been naturally a marriage made. That should have been that. Any other team would have done that.
No, they wouldn't.
Well, then why didn't they? Why didn't they draft Xavier Restrepo?
And no team just drafted a receiver quarterback combo, bro.
Okay. So here it is. I'm gonna get off that right there. This is what I want to.
Oh, okay. Well, that got proven wrong. I'm gonna change subject here.
Guys, real talk, because this was actually. I mean, this. I'm just hearing that conversation. I'm just like, wow, for real. They're gonna jump on this bandwagon here for real.
Well, were you supposed to say that he played bad, even if he did?
We got a new. Well, no. It's just like now everybody's just like, oh, and it might just work. And I was like, man, it's going to be a guarantee. It's going to be an automatic. If you remember what I said, Zach, I said it would be an automatic instead of keeping a bum like the boy from Seattle. Instead of keeping a bum like Jefferson, I said that's the kid. That if you remember that's where all the heat came from. But here, before I get shut down, I want to say this here, Dyson.
Yes, sir.
What do you consider a large market in the NFL?
I think Nashville's in the middle. I think Nashville. I think large market. You got L.A., Vegas probably up there now. New York.
No, Vegas.
Texas.
Vegas is under Nashville.
Yeah, you're probably right. Vegas is under Nashville. Texas.
Yeah, it is.
Texas.
Metropolitan, city size, metropolitan.
Louisiana.
Nashville, Denver, Nashville. It was another one on the tip of my tongue. We're in that middle market.
That's what I figure. I think we're about the middle.
I don't call us a small market. A small market is Kansas City, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Ohio, Buffalo. Those are small markets. Historic markets. A matter of fact, Pittsburgh is actually a smaller market than Nashville as well. So I don't buy into this thing that we're a small market. I'm not going to do it. In reference to what? To Houston, of course, we're a small market. To Houston, to Los Angeles, and I've been to all of these cities, LA, even Philadelphia.
Yeah,
but
Philly.
when it comes down to Baltimore, no, they're equal markets. Denver and Nashville are just pretty much identical. Indianapolis nudges Denver and Nashville out a little bit. So I don't think it's so much, fellas, as it being a small market. I think it's just that, man, we have a front office and an organization that's just in disarray. I think that's what that is, man. And I really want you guys to stop calling it a small market because it's not.
No, let me say this. Let me say this. Go.
Okay.
Let me go.
Go ahead.
Traditionally, prior to the last probably 10 years, Nashville was considered a small market. And I think, this is my opinion, the NFL brass has not caught up to that fact yet. So we're being treated like a small market team. And I hope that clarifies what I'm trying to say. Small markets, like the Green Bay Packers, is one of the smallest media markets in the NFL. But historically, and that team and the traditions, they're elevated above a team like Nashville or Browns or whomever because of their tradition and what they have done for the National Football League since the 60s, since the National Football League has been a go. So, yes, he is correct. Nashville is not a small, quote-unquote, small market as it once was, but it traditionally is being treated as such in the sense that they are getting teams like Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, Cowboys, Steelers, Bears, Buffalo Bills, 49ers. Those markets have traditions, are always going to get the benefit of the doubt and get national TV.
Well, I mean, we can just look at what this team's game is not even being shown in Bowling Green the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
this is when we say when you refer to small market, it's not the population of the city that you're in. It's how much money you bring in relative to the other NFL owners.
Right.
Guess what? Small market.
Right.
It's also your television imprint. Guess what? Small market. Yeah. This is a small market team. This has nothing to do with population. If you use the population as an argument, you have no clue what small market actually means.
And the argument with Restrepo, I think we were saying the same thing. We're just saying it from a different perspective. I think he was saying jump on it right now. That's the guy go to.
Yeah.
And that's no team really does that. You don't necessarily see a team draft a quarterback and a wide receiver and assuming it's going to work out the same way it did for them in college. I think what we're trying to say is what he's also elaborating to is that there's a natural kinship that comes between those two because they have worked together. And since the Titans did go get him as a free agent, there was probably some thought process in that. However, Restrepo had some growing pains. His knock on him prior to getting in the draft process was his foot speed and would he have the ability to separate against elite corners in the National Football League. And he had his moments, he had his struggles, but he's also getting opportunity right now. So here is his opportunity to keep his name relevant and build on the rapport he already has with Cam that can make him a mainstay. He's getting a unique sense. If it's not for Cam, I don't know if he signs with the Titans. I don't know. He probably gets the opportunity because he was a pretty good college receiver. But I don't know if he signs with the Titans specifically if it's not for Cam Ward. And now here he is. He has 6 targets today, 2 catches. I'm rooting for the kid.
Yeah.
All day long.
But we also got to remember, it's 6 targets, 2 catches.
Yeah.
26
yards.
And someone in the chat said he's Steve Largent, by the way. I don't know if you guys
I'm just saying, like, Gorilla doesn't want us to jump on, quote unquote, jump on the bandwagon. Well, like I asked him, are we just supposed to say that he sucks?
We got to be professionals.
I mean, we got to be like,
listen, we got to be analysts
he played
here.
good. Let's see it again.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's not a given that he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver at any time soon. But we don't necessarily need that from him. But he's also for everything that he's done, we got to go to break. But I'm sure being on the scout team and getting a lot of ramps against the starters on defense probably helped a lot for him.
Running other people's stuff, you get to relax and just play. And they're taking note. They're watching you as you're going against your number one defense and on the scout team, and he's getting better each week. I get sometimes our words can be misconstrued and the intentions could be the other way around. But I want people to understand. I'm rooting for the kid. I've been saying from the one, I liked him. I just didn't know if he was NFL week 1, put him in there ready. And that's my opinion.
I didn't hear an apology in there.
No, he skirted right over the fact that Van Jefferson has made some critical plays and all that kind of stuff. But either way. All right. Coming up next, we'll get to more of your phone calls. Got the calls coming in, 615-737-1045. This is Lee Company, Titans Talkback, right here on 1045 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Let's go straight to the phones. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, I have a question. Why does this offensive coaching staff keep doing 11 personnel and not 12 personnel when our best pass catchers are a tight end? Gunnar Helm and Chigaquanko has made massive plays the last 2 weeks. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I thought that we would see more 12 personnel this week. It felt like we did, but going through the quick stats at Next Gen Stats, they had 27 12 personnel plays.
That feels like 3 times as many as they usually do.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
I see what people are saying with that, and I agree to a certain degree. But I think when you think about what tight ends in the game, what it does to the field, it condenses the field. And if you're struggling up front to get pushed, you're bringing those guys right in the box right now. And if you spread out, they got to expose the guys that are coming from edges, then blitzing and things of that nature. So I think there's also a level of gamemanship that you're trying to figure out. So if I condense the field and I'm playing in the box all game long, do you feel confident that's the way the Titans going to win a football game?
That's a good point. The way they've been running the ball. I don't know that I would feel very good about it.
If Deuce was back, the king,
Yeah.
and they had that when they were doing that, then they were probably doing a lot more of that kind of personnel grouping and running downhill. But that's not their makeup right now. So I think you got to be careful with the expectation that because they are having a lot of success pass catching, physicality up front, blocking, moving the pile, that's a whole nother conversation. So, yeah, we can look at them, too, because they have shown their value as pass catchers and they're serviceable as run blockers. But do you look at either one of them and say they are like guys we're going to run behind? We can run behind them like on a consistent basis.
Well, I will say this, just some quick math real quick. The Tennessee Titans have been averaging around 78% in 11 personnel. By my math right now, we're looking at 60.1% of 11 personnel in this game. So, I mean, that's excluding maybe some 13 and some other stuff that they may have had in this game. But at least that number has come down, meaning they did less 11 personnel than they have in the past.
Yeah, and the question I would have, Dr. Dyson, is like we're talking about it from a formation standpoint, like bringing the guys in, but is there room to run 12 personnel but still spread them out? And I think there was one play, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, where Gunnar Helm was lined up out wide, and I think it was either Jefferson or DK in the slot, and they ran a concept where Helm was downfield and got the one-on-one matchup.
DK, because DK barely dropped it, I think.
Yeah. I think that's the same play, And you think about it from that perspective, like how easy is it to do that? If that's not something they've done all season before, like maybe it's not in their playbook to run 12 personnel and still spread the guys out. Yeah. Like maybe it's just a matter of adjusting and practicing that throughout the week. But I would think that you would want to find ways to get your guys who have become your most reliable pass catchers, or at least two of your most reliable pass catchers, more involved in the passing game that way. So I'm wondering if it's just a matter of feasibility.
Yeah, I like that. And I've seen teams use that. Even Titans have utilized that. They'll have 3 tight ends in the game and then spread out and do empty setting because you're worried about the personnel on the other side over there. And then a lot of times, if you got a team that plays a lot of man-to-man, you expose what their intentions are. Now you got little guy in trying to tackle a running back in the run game. However, the flip also runs in that. If you get a team that is athletic enough and big enough, they don't necessarily have to substitute. Now you got your receiver inside trying to block this 245-pound linebacker coming downhill. He's got to hold up, but that's not the matchups you want all the time. So you got to be strategic. I think it's not hard to implement anything like that because the verbiage of the play, when you come in, you substitute personnel grouping. For instance, I was an X or Z or Y. I played awful, but say I was an X receiver and then personnel grouping that and the 3 tight end, that might be the tight end. Now we call whatever formation it is. You just go wherever that X would go in that formation set. So it's not a a big stretch to do anything like that. They can implement that. It's just a matter of how much does it really benefit us. Like, for instance, a team like Seattle who lined up one-on-one a lot of times, maybe it might have. But then you're putting pressure on the guys up front, too, that got to be able to get to those boxes because now everything's exposed. But I love the idea of utilizing multiple tight end sets. I think there's something to say about old school football that it doesn't change, and you see teams kind of reverting back a little bit of trying. Like the old school fullback. If a team just came back and just went downhill with a fullback, it would blow everybody's mind. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know, defenses wouldn't know what to call. With just a straight up fullback, two-back eye set, like, man, they'd be base defense the whole time because you just don't see it anymore. And people do versions of it. We saw it today, and they'll put different people back there, but it's not the traditional fullback. I think the last team I can think of right now that has a traditional fullback is San Fran. Right?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I would call Kyle Juszczyk like traditional because they send him out on like wheel routes and throw the ball to him and stuff too. So maybe Westover, the guy up in New England.
Scott Matlock.
Scott Matlock. That's a football player right there. He plays defensive tackle on the side too.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's it. Nobody's using the traditional downhill.
Corey Levin for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
That's who he was
the fullback today.
He's a fullback today. Let's go to Bear. Bear, you're on with Titans Talkback.
All right, what up, guys? I just wanted to say, I think he wouldn't get as much pressure at the middle with Levin in there instead of Quisenberry, so they might want to look into that. And I wonder what's going on with the rookie running back Mullins, man. Maybe he can turn them 1 or 2 yards into 3 or 4. I mean, that would help a little bit. And also, I was wondering, like, I didn't really see too many difference makers, at least maybe y'all have coming in the first round of the draft. What would y'all say about trading the pick for like a coach, McVay, or Kyle Shanahan or something like that? Man, we got to do something. All right, y'all, tighten up.
Listen, we got the whole zoo calling in. We got bear and gorilla. We need some more animal names calling in. Listen, I like a wild idea. So if you want to trade that for that first round pick for Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, I don't know, kind of in.
That's what we were talking about before. Like, do you trade a pick for Mike Tomlin?
Oh my gosh.
There are some players or some coaches that would trade at least, I would entertain the idea. I'm not saying that I would, but I would at least entertain the idea.
If you really want to put your tinfoil hat on, what have we been saying about this draft class the last couple of weeks as you and I dig into it a little bit more?
2027's better.
It's not a heavy class at the top. Like, I don't think there's going to be a ton of blue chip players in this class. So, if there's not a blue chip player there for the taking, what if you go and get a blue chip coach?
This
is kind of fun to chew on a little bit.
I like it. What do you think?
I'm with you. I like outside the box.
Yeah.
But then the logical side of me was like, how does that work out? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does that pan out? But that is an interesting concept to say, I'm going to trade my picks to get me the coach I want.
They need players.
Well, yes.
The coach can't do it all anyway. But
let's say they go 3-3 down the stretch these last 6 games. Now you're probably just outside the top 5, and then you trade the pick. Just one pick. I'm not entertaining multiple picks. Just one pick.
You think 4 wins get you out of the top 5?
Maybe.
Jets got 2. Browns got 2.
I don't think the Jets
Raiders
are going
got
to win.
2.
Browns will win today, it looks like. 17-3 with 12 minutes left against Vegas.
Commanders 3, Giants 2.
Falcons are going to be pretty bad.
Saints have 2.
Yeah.
Falcons have 3.
Yeah.
And Cardinals have 3. One team they beat.
If you get 3 more, I don't know.
So 4. You
Falcons may win their game against New Orleans.
Here's a question I would not have thought I'd be asking you the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Would you rather have Mike Tomlin or Jeremiah Love?
Jeremiah Love.
Okay. That probably answers our question then. Probably know where we should go.
No, I think I would probably go Mike Tomlin.
Whew.
Where would you go?
I don't know. I think I might lean Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to go against that. I mean, never have a losing season as a head coach.
He's an elevator of talent.
He is.
Just saying.
Yeah, you guys have convinced me.
There we go. That was real hard. Let's go to Tom. Tom, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Tom.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can hear you.
Oh, cool. Hey, Stoney. Hey, I love your takes, man. I listened to the Upwards podcast. How about that?
Thank you. Appreciate the support, Tom.
Yeah, man. And
I'm on that show, too.
I know. Hey, Zach, nice job. I'm a frequent follower of the podcast. Stoney said something earlier I want to reiterate, and that's the game seems to be slowing down for Cam Ward, doesn't it?
It does.
Apparent. And, hey, one question on the way out. Happy Thanksgiving in advance, by the way, you guys. Appreciate you, man. I listen to you all the time, obviously, on my walks through the neighborhood and the podcast. You're going to re-sign Arden Key in the off season? Yes or no?
That's a good question, Tom, because we kind of talked about that when he had his sack today. And we're just sitting there. I think, Jackson, you were the one that proposed it, right? That question.
He's
Would
asleep.
you re-sign? Yeah, he's asleep.
He's asleep. You'll get him when he wakes up.
What's up?
Arden Key. Weren't you the one who proposed that idea of maybe
Right
they should
after
resign
sack,
him?
I looked at you and I said, "Do you resign him?"
Is he? That's exactly what I just said. If you were listening, that's exactly
I told
what
you,
I
he's
said.
asleep.
He's asleep.
He's trying to get a nap.
But I wouldn't mind bringing him back, not as a starter and at starter money, but I mean, if you can negotiate something where he's getting paid at least enough to want to be here and maybe outbid someone else. Yeah, a rotational guy, you could do a lot worse. He knows you, you know him.
Yeah. But what would his value be? Like, what I'm saying is teams tend to overpay sometimes for potential and talent. And that gap can be too far for me to say, I want to stay in Tennessee, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that $5 million on the table. Like,
well, he was only getting paid $7 million a year.
That surprises me.
You said only $7 million
a year. Well, I mean, like for a pass rusher, I thought he signed a bigger contract for whatever reason back in the day. 3 years, $21 million contract. Yeah. I don't know. That I mean, like you told me he comes back for 2 years, $14 million. I'll say
that sounds about right. He will get this time around too.
Yeah.
I mean, teams value the experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was not a name coming up at the trade deadline for no reason. Because teams wanted to add teeth to their pass rush. Right. This is an experienced guy. I don't know if you would call him a specialist. Like he's not known for being this driving, edge-setting defensive end type, hand in the dirt kind of old school defensive end. But he can get after the quarterback, and I think that's still a valuable skill. I think the money aspect of it is a really interesting point to raise because I think from a team building standpoint, if you're the Titans looking at a guy like Arden Key, it's like, okay, do we invest these resources into a guy when our roster is still so far away? It's a nice thought to think of Arden Key as a supplement to the pass rush where you hope that Femi Oladejo gets on track and he can be a factor. I'm thinking they're probably still going to draft a guy high, maybe sign another guy. We haven't even talked about like the prospects of bringing back Jihad Ward or Jalen Harrell's development. It's a nice thought to say, oh, well, if they bring back Arden Key as like the second or third edge rusher, that would be great. But it takes two to tango, and he's got to agree to that, and they've got to find the right price. And I think that's where things get a little bit shaky. In theory, sure, I would love if they managed to get like a David Bailey out of Texas Tech in the first round of the draft, and then they re-sign Arden Key. Femi comes back, and he's a little bit more healthy. I think this is going to be a relatively deep edge class, so you could spend like a mid-round pick, get another guy, completely revamp that unit, but it still comes down to both sides agreeing and finding that middle ground between what's best for the franchise and what's best for the player. And right now, it's hard for me to see a scenario where this front office looks at Arden Key, the player, and says, yeah, we're going to spend whatever we have to keep you.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the money, right? Okay, if you cut Calvin Ridley, you're not only saving $10 million against the cap, okay, which they already have the number one cap space heading into the NFL offseason, but they also save $21.75 million in cash that would have been spent over there on Calvin Ridley. Now you can use that to supplement other signings if you were to cut them. I'm sure L'Jarius Sneed has a similar number. I just don't know that one off the top of my head. But savings in cash means that maybe you can entice someone with a signing bonus that gets paid up front, and you still have money left over from Arden Key or from cutting Calvin Ridley. So I do think there is a scenario where you can keep Arden Key, who's going to be 30 in May. He'll be going into 8 years of NFL experience. And how much does a 30-year-old situational pass rusher actually get paid when he's not only just a situational pass rusher, he's also a situational pass rusher that lacks high-end stats.
Yes, yeah.
So
Production.
So to me, when you don't have the production too, maybe you can get a steal for a guy that has found his best production and found his footing here in this community for his family as well. Just to throw that out there. Coming up next, we'll talk more about that. Also, more of your phone calls, 615-737-1045. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 1045 The Zone. Lee Company, Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Who's this on the line? I put him on hold before the commercial break. What's this guy's name, Jackson? You awake back there? We'll go to him in just a minute.
He's talking to somebody else.
But James Prochet, I mean, okay, he got away with one because that one was definitely not a catch. But 3 for 3. You know, to me, this always, to me, begs the question when you talk about the coaching staff and personnel decisions. They called up Mason Kinsey. They called up James Prochet before, and he's never really had the opportunity to make it on the field at wide receiver. But again, we've seen James Prochet, we've seen Xavier Restrepo, and again, I'm not trying to diss Mason Kinsey, but those two guys have clearly shown better rapport with Cam Ward because Cam Ward was slinging it like throwing fastballs because he trusted that James Prochet was going to catch it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was throwing meteorites at him.
There's one that I'm like, dang, that hurts my fingers just watching that. Just a laser.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of this is I think the Titans are also in that evaluation process for 25-26 going into the 26 season. I think you bringing in young guys like this with the injuries. Let me see what these young fellas can do. And what we forget, too, is they were playing special teams. And they were doing some things there, as Kinsey was as well. But I'm just saying, like, you see it's an evaluation process for some young guys. And they're thinking like we're talking about, like, do we keep Cam or Ridley? Do we keep Arden Key? Like all the different pieces, they are putting some of these young guys. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I would say that that I feel like Mike McCoy was in a better mood at his press conference. And listen,
you would have thought they won.
You would have thought they won. And there's some people that will say that that's, insane, but, that he feels that way or this is the best press conference or whatever. But I go back to the conversation surrounding this team and hope.
Yes.
And I think that you could say that, hey, Xavier Restrepo, Chimere Dike, Elikiah Manor, Cedric Gray, Cam Ward, Gunnar Helm, Chigakonkwo, like all these players that are basically 26 and under have just been showing up week after week in big moments and have been contributors. And that makes you feel good and hopeful. Like the team that played today for the Tennessee Titans should beat this Jacksonville Jaguars team on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Because I think this Jacksonville Jaguars team is a little fraudulent anyway.
Well, they're trailing the Cardinals right now.
Well, that could just be the hater in me also as well because I just hate Jacksonville. But I do think that this team today, this team the last 2 weeks, and I will even say up to the Chargers game, has shown that it's played 3 straight games of where you felt like, man, they're kind of in this game.
Against good defenses.
Against good defenses, against superior head coaches and superior staff, superior players on every facet of the game. Defense, offense, doesn't matter. You're facing superior opponents in your one-on-one matchups. And you're like, this team can kind of hang around, and we aren't seeing the blowouts like we kind of have seen over the last 2 years here and there. And I'm like, okay, a team that is struggling with Arizona with 4 turnovers. Trevor Lawrence has 4 turnovers. A Tennessee Titans team that you saw today could beat that team. A Tennessee Titans team you saw today could beat a lot of teams that they aren't going to have on the schedule.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, I feel like that this game today should have, I think, fans with the holidays coming up not to be ashamed or embarrassed to take your family to this game on Sunday. I want to see more Titans fans than I want to see Jaguars fans. I think they've kind of earned that these last few home games. And I know they're losses, but they have earned at least, hey, maybe this team is cooking.
Well, and it's also perspective, too. Like I brought up last week when this team started the first 6 games, they were losing by like 3 possessions. And now you're seeing them competitive against these really good defenses. The last 2 weeks specifically, elite defenses, the Texans and the Seahawks. So that's encouraging. The offense was fun. They scored 24 points today. Again, only one team this entire season has scored more points against the Seahawks team than the Titans did today. Like that's progress. And what I asked you guys, we were off the air, is like, do you feel like this team has turned a corner today? And it's hard for me, again, maybe just heat of the moment, prisoners of the moment, whatever you want to call it. It's hard for me to not feel like this team, specifically on offense, turned a major corner today. And you start thinking about the complementary football thing. I still don't think they played completely
because we haven't really even talked
football.
about the defense.
Yeah, the defense gives up some explosive plays. They can't overcome the bad matchups that Seattle put them in, and yet it's still 30-24, and there's still room to grow. So, like, to me, it feels like they're building towards a win. If they can just get both units, whereas the last couple of weeks it's been, the defense is playing really well. Denard Wilson's had a hell of a game, and we're not worried about that side of the ball. The offense needs to catch up. Today it kind of felt like the offense had the spark and the defense let a couple past them. So if you think like, man, if you can just get that complementary football element to this team, that's the secret. They're going to start rattling off a couple of wins that maybe you don't even expect them to. They should, to your point, and maybe this is just because just have that hater in us. They should absolutely beat Jacksonville next week.
You know, I think when you think about player individually, 101, the one metric that nobody ever accounts for is the heart of an athlete, the competitor. I think today the big splash plays in particular, that was Seattle taking advantage of a scheme where they felt very confident.
If they kind of practice against that scheme every day.
If we line up this way, we know they're going to be in this, and we're going to put our best receiver on this young corner and take advantage. And they did, and that's those battles within the battles where their player was better than our player, and that particular moment, he's one of the best players in the game right now, right? And so they took advantage of that. But when you talk about totality, 11 on 11, the heart of a competitor, it's always why you can see a Hall of Fame tackle get beat by the third-string defensive end. It's just because sometimes they get the better of you. The idea is you get the better of them more often than they get the better of you. And I think that's where the Titans have faltered, is there's a gap in every game so far this year. There's been a gap in time where they let the game go, and either they try to come back late or they haven't been able to recover. And for the most part, they haven't been able to recover. There's been two games in particular, Arizona and today, that I can say when things got bad, they still found a way to recover. Now, it didn't work out in their favor today, but it did against Arizona. You can't make a substantial living doing that. We all know this. But that is what you want as a resilient football team that's always in the battle. You can be down 2 or 3 scores in the fourth quarter and feel like I have an opportunity to win this game.
Do you think they should have operated with a little more urgency on what ended up being the final drive?
I do.
Because you still, like, you think about it, like, you're still 2 possessions. You can win the game. And I don't know if they were just so, like, caught up in, like, let's just score here, let's end with some positive momentum or what. But it felt like, man, they could have really pushed even harder if they had gone a little quicker there.
Let's talk about that, the defense, and let's also talk to Eric when we come back. This is the Lee Company count. Almost went to Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium, the Lee Company, tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. They can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Eric. Eric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, good evening, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Great. I really enjoyed watching this game today. It was really loved watching Cam and his team. They're, especially Cam coming, him growing and things like that. And as the season progresses, I love to see, how these young people or these young guys are playing. But I'd love to get you guys' take on, this whole, the future coaching changes, looking for a new head coach. What is the rationality or possibility? Because special teams has, done a total 180. Denard Wilson is really pulling this defense together despite a lot of these penalties. And, you got some young guys in there and stuff like that. But as they go through this head coaching search, what's the possibilities of entertaining Bones Fossil and Denard Wilson on staying on with this new head coach? And is that even, something that they would even be open to? So
thanks.
Love to listen to your guys' thoughts and have a great evening.
Thanks, Eric. As to my knowledge, first off, I know that Denard Wilson at least is under contract next year. I think they had 3-year contracts for all the coordinators. And from what I understand, that would mean technically that was with Nick Holtz and Denard Wilson. We would assume that Bones Fossil has the same kind of contract. And I would assume that Bones Fossil has enough respect that any head coach coming in would at least heavily entertain the idea, if not maybe be all on board in the interview with keeping Bones Fossil. Denard Wilson's a little bit different because he's a defensive coordinator, and you have to you're depending on the type of head coach you have. If you're a defensive coordinator that's turning into a head coach, you may want to call the plays. Or you may have a linebackers coach or something that you have been with for a while that you want to call the plays and give a shot to. For the offensive side, I think it's a much better chance. Just depends on the coach, right, and what staff they have in mind. Because I do agree with the caller. I think Denard Wilson and Bones Fossil have both been very exceptional at the hands they have been dealt this season.
A lot of those times, because their contracts there, meaning coaches, are guaranteed. And I think we lose sight of the fact that ownership is still picking up the tab, assuming that gentleman doesn't get a job for that year. And I'm sure that's part of the conversation, like who is salvageable on the staff, who you interested in interviewing for potential to retain. But to your point, Zach, a lot of guys, if I'm go to battle, I want guys I know and I can trust, or are recommended to me by somebody I trust. But interviewing process is part of it, and proof of put it, and they all know each other. It's a brotherhood. They all know each other. They've worked and coached against each other for years. I don't know who on the staff and the length of their contracts, but I do know this. Sometimes owners will say, hey, you can hire this to this, but we keep these because they got 3 years left on their deal, or that sort of thing. But I don't know if this is going to be a complete gut job and let, as it was last time, and bring in your own people. I don't know if it's going to be that kind of situation, or if they're going to get a seasoned enough veteran head coach who will end up coaching his coaches up and doesn't need necessarily, quote unquote, all his own people to get the most out of his coaches, to get the most out of the players to win football games.
Yeah, I would say in principle, I think it's agreeable that Denard Wilson and Bones Fossil have both done a good enough job this season to warrant a look. And I think, in the process of leaving no stone unturned, why not kick the tires on retaining both of those guys? I think the work they've put in this season, the body of work, is good enough to warrant that. That said, I mean, there's a lot of head coaches that take jobs and want their guys in those positions.
Right.
And I think that's the tricky thing you have to overcome. Also, in the interview, if it is a situation, like you said, where we want to retain these guys, you're going to have to work with them. Well, what does the coach feel about that as feedback? Are they thinking, well, I want my own guys, therefore I'm not going to take this job? Or is it, I can work with that? I think that's the really interesting part of this. To Zach's point, like if you end up hiring a defensive guy, I mean, he may also, aside from like wanting to call the plays and all that, he might just have like a different scheme.
Yeah.
And
we've seen that. We've seen go from 4-3 to 3-4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to impact the decision as well. But I think just a baseline generality, I think Fossil and Wilson have both done well enough this season to say, hey, we should look at keeping these guys.
I would agree with that. Let's go to the phones. Go to Cedric. Cedric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Hey, so, I know everybody's talked about the defensive backs, man, but the thing that stood out to me about the defensive backs today was not so much the pass coverage. I mean, Jackson Smith and Digba, I mean, you knew what he was going to be, but in the run game, their inability to keep contained and take bad angles, I thought kept a lot of drives alive. And so if you have some more experienced corners out there, perhaps they get off the field and they could get the ball back, and the momentum that they had on offense could have carried over. Now, hey, the other thing I want to talk about, man, is I got to give some credit to Mike McCoy, man. If you look at the experience and what they've done over the last 3 games, one-score games, they've covered the last 3 games, I believe. Today, Cam Ward hit 8 different receivers. And you guys talked about him running today and him picking up 37 yards, but I would bet he had over 100 yards total when he attacked, stepped up in the pocket, either ran and then threw the ball to a receiver to keep plays alive. When he got outside the pocket, we talked about this last week when I called, nothing positive happens. But when he stepped up in the pocket, he took off running, or he ran and threw, I would bet you he had total in that scenario over 100 yards today, man. So, I got to give a shout out to Mike McCoy. And if you wonder, should we get a rookie head coach again, or should we get somebody with experience? Man, this tells you why we need an experienced coach with this young team, man, if you look at everything that's taken place, man. So, man, that's all I had, man. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to y'all, man, and I hope y'all have a good holiday.
A Mike McCoy shout-out, and wouldn't have expected that. And you know what?
I've been waiting on that. I can't do it because I'm a homer. He's a friend. So I can't say anything. And so, Mike, if you're listening, bro, I can't. But just because, he's a friend of mine and things of that age. So being objective is, Yeah. But seriously, though, I joke and I say sometimes when you take over as an interim, you're wearing another man's draws and it's not comfortable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got to figure out how to get those off and put your own on and figure out how to utilize what he was doing to what you philosophically want to do, even regardless if you're on the staff and you got similar philosophies or not. That's a hard thing because there's some things you see as a coach, but you're the subordinate and you're like, I want to do this. And it depends how open that head coach or that leader is to how comfortable you feel about adding your input. And I think one of the things we have seen of recent is pace and his decisiveness, and he has picked up with his legs. And I think that has been remarkable. So I appreciate the shout out from that standpoint. Now, does that mean he's the head coach going forward? Now, if he'd won 9-10 games, I think we would have a different conversation. Right. That sort of thing. So I don't know. But I do think there are coaches on this staff with value that can help take the franchise forward, just on any other staff. It is a matter of who they decide to go with and what they see value in. I don't know. I also agree. I would prefer a veteran with a proven track record than trying to find the next McVay. And I'm using him as an example because he had instant success. And I think the trend in the NFL has been, let's find the next McVay, that next young gun, never really called plays before, but is extremely intelligent to come in here and be innovative and win football games. We just tried that. I think you go to the other side. We tried, the last 2 head coaches have been inexperienced. Vrabel was inexperienced too, right? But now look at him. He's grown a lot. And goes Callahan was inexperienced and didn't work out so well. So I think the next opportunity should be, but again, what do I know? 5 for 7 on 4th downs.
Yeah.
7 4th downs. And one of those misses on 4th downs was a 4th and 21. Like, We couldn't get Mike McCoy to go for 4th and 1 at some points, and he's like, screw it, 4th and 21. And they almost converted. Like, it's insane. So I will say, I mean, as much as Mike McCoy, and he even alluded to the fact that PK's been on his ass about these 4th down conversions, and said they may have even called some of the plays after PK. I don't know. This is kind of what you should expect from an interim head coach, a little bit more aggressiveness, a little bit more of like carefree attitude. It didn't result in a win, but it sure made for exciting football. And you also get to kind of show your players, hey, 4th and 21, we almost converted it.
Yeah. And I'll say this. He's auditioning. Maybe not even here.
Yeah.
You're always auditioning, right? Even if you're a player, you're a free agent, first round draft, you're always auditioning. So, but if I'm in his shoes, I can't just go off the rails here. I can't just go for it on 4th and down inside my 20 every time just because that's going to make somebody happy. And I get on the other side of that, too. What do we have to lose at this point? Like, you're fighting for the number 1 pick 2 years in back-to-back seasons. So be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
But you can't be so careless that you look careless, because who wants to hire a coach that is careless?
Yeah. All right, you got like 30 seconds.
I give credit to Mike McCoy for keeping this thing duct taped together and not going off the rails. The players are still playing hard, and I think that's a testament to the culture he's setting in that building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of whether you agree or disagree with some of his decisions, I think you're spot on with that assessment. Arizona just tied it up with Jacksonville 24-24.
Let's go Cardinals.
By the way, the Cleveland Browns, not only has Myles Garrett set his career high today with 17 sacks, what's the sack record?
22 and a half.
And we got 6 games left to go. They have, last time I checked, as a defense, the Cleveland Browns defense, 10 sacks.
That's crazy.
In one game today.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
But that's how you stay in the game when you're not good on offense.
Right.
And the Titans got to play them.
Titans do got to play them. That kind of scares
me. With that offensive line with Myles Garrett coming down.
Well, maybe Dan Moore will his ankle injury will keep him out or something. All right, coming up next, we're going to do our Eurofix look ahead. We're going to look ahead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone. All right, it's the Lee Company Titans Talkback here on 105 The Zone. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit eurofixonline.com. Next week, the Titans are hosting division rivals Jacksonville Jaguars, who are heading to overtime with the Arizona Cardinals, tied up 24-24 at Arizona. So they'll be on the road 2 straight weeks. You also have them. They're 30% on third downs, 0% on fourth downs, 60% in the red zone. They have allowed today 3 sacks on Trevor Lawrence, who has 3 interceptions and a lost fumble that was returned for a touchdown. I mean, this Jacksonville Jaguars team, they are 6-4, but they are a very gettable team. Now, we'll see if they end up at 7-4 or whatever, but they're very beatable, very gettable. It's at home. Division rivals are wonky. Those games are crazy. But how do you feel about the Titans' chances against Jacksonville, Dr. Dyson?
Oof. Well, I think you gave a couple different examples of why every Sunday could be different. I think you think about inconsistent play from a quarterback, also being a divisional rival, home. Even though there's been a lot of other teams' fans in the stadium, it's just something about being able to stay home and compete. The optimist always feels like you got a chance every Sunday. You just got to execute, not make the mistakes, and overcome the ones that you do make. I like their chances coming up. I think Jacksonville's one of those divisional wins. I thought they'd get Houston and Jacksonville, and I thought they might go 3-3 in the division. I thought they'd get one of each from each squad, but Colts proved to be different. So they got an opportunity here to get a division win, get off this losing streak, and show that the sense what I think a lot of people are sensing and seeing is that incremental improvement.
10 straight losses at home for the Tennessee Titans.
Are
they breaking it? Are they breaking it this Sunday?
I think the Titans have momentum on their side in this matchup, and I know that's a crazy thing to say because the Titans have only won 1 game. But like I've alluded to earlier, it feels like with these last 3 losses that the Titans they're still showing signs of life. They're still fighting hard, and it feels like they're trending in the right direction. They're trending towards a win. Like, I think that's what we're building up for here. This Jags defense is not going to be the caliber of defense they faced today or last week or even 4 weeks ago against the Chargers. Heck, the Titans may have played a better defense on their bye week than what they're about to see in this Jacksonville defense. 2-3 in their last 5 after a 4-1 start. And I know we have a tendency to the beginning of the season stays fresh on our mind for a long time, and we don't have to go into a big psychology lesson. But I think we see where this Jags team is at in the playoff race and still think back to that 4-1 start. But they're 2-3 in their last 5 games. We don't know what the outcome of today's game is going to be, but over the last 5 games, they've allowed 23.8 points per game. And you take out the 6 points that the Chargers scored against them, they're giving up 55 or 29, 29, 35, and 20 over those 4. Like, this is a defense that you can make some plays against. And so I look at that, and I look at the fact that they've been in 7 one-possession games. And I think you're right, Zach. Again, I go back to maybe this is just being Jacksonville haters, but I do kind of feel like this is a bit of a fraudulent 6-4 football team that kind of feels like the season's hanging in the balance. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pressure on this team right now, whereas the Titans, like, the vibes are high right now. So I think this is a gettable game for the Titans. I think this could be the week against a lesser defense that we do see this offense turn the potential that we've seen the last few weeks into production and get that win.
Yeah.
This will be the worst passing defense they have seen outside of the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so there's an opportunity.
There's opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
I would say this team is better than what those teams have looked in terms of what we've seen on the field. It may have not yielded wins, but I would say that since Brian Callahan has been let go, this team has looked somewhat better. And I think Cam Ward has looked better, and he still played. We're talking 8 or 9 teams within like the top 10, it feels like, in pass defense or some kind of defensive metric that you wouldn't expect a rookie quarterback to overcome. So for me, I look at it like this. I just don't think this Jags team is as good as what everybody says it is. I think there's a little bit of, they're kind of like a weird version of the Colts and Browns where it's like teams always get really hype about them in the offseason, and this year is Liam Cohen. Doug Peterson couldn't unlock the best of Trevor Lawrence, but Liam Cohen will, and then they got Travis Hunter, and then Travis Hunter went injury. Everybody loves the cool uncle GM that they got over there, the little nerdy GM over there and all that kind of stuff. But this still is a relatively young team, and this is going to be the first look that we've seen these two teams play each other. And we should theoretically see a lot of Cam Ward versus Trevor Lawrence for years to come.
Yeah.
So it will be really interesting to see what this team that has gone through these trials and tribulations and all these defenses that Cam Ward has had to face, and now he gets a little bit of an easier defense. It's still the NFL. How will he respond and look? Because you got to continue building on the momentum. You can't go through this gauntlet of the Chargers,
the
Texans, and today's Seattle, and then look worse than you did in those 3 games against a lesser opponent. You have to keep growing and showing consistency, and that's just not Cam Ward. That's the entire offense. And the defense, there's the playmakers aren't the level of Jackson Smith and Jigba, but they have ways to beat you. You got to be sound on defense.
I think you highlighted a couple of matchups in there. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who is struggling, going up against the Titans defense that I know they gave up 30 today, but still played pretty well minus the explosives. And then you have Cam Ward kind of growing into his own, getting a little bit of a momentum, getting a little bit of a spark going up against that passing defense. Those are 2 things that I would point to and say that's where you look at momentum. And right now, I think you feel pretty good about where the Titans are at in those 2 matchups specifically that could be key factors in this game next week.
Well, I think one of the matchups that we're not talking about is in the secondary. I think on both sides of it, how does our secondary hold against that receiving core with Trevor Lawrence and vice versa? I think we're kind of doing a makeshift receiving core right now with the injuries, in and outs, and uncertainties. Adding some younger guys who've just getting some experience. Those aside from obviously up front, that's always going to be it. That's always every game plan. Our up front, we got to win that battle. But I'm interested to see how they match up with our receivers versus how the Titans match up with their receivers. Today, the Titans tried to match up 1-on-1 a few times and got bit in the big plays, and that didn't work out so well. Do you kind of do that with Chart too? Like, I mean, so it's you kind of going to go that same route. And then on the flip side of that, can these young guys create space, get open, extend drives, hit a big play or 2, run after catch? Like, can they expand on their roles as they get more and more experience?
I mean, Jacoby Brissett is 31 of 45 for 315 yards right now. I mean, that's kind of crazy when you think about it.
He should be there.
These last 2 weeks, he's been going crazy. And you look at who Trevor Lawrence is throwing to. He's 18 of 30. He's got Brenton Strange is his leading receiver, who's a tight end. Parker Washington is second, who is only playing because of injuries, really, to Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. They traded for Jacoby Myers, who's third on the list. Then it's Travis Etienne, Johnny Munt, Baishal Tootin, Tim Patrick, and I believe Alex Trammell is Austin Trammell. So I mean, it's not a collection. I mean, listen, Jacoby Myers is better than anything you probably got on your roster that's playing right now. But it's not a bunch of world beaters on that team, and I can understand why Trevor Lawrence may be struggling. Jonathan Gannon has probably put up a pretty good defensive play, even though everybody wants him fired, and I really don't think it's him issue. But I look at it, Michael Wilson already got 118 yards. That's 2 back-to-back weeks of 100-plus yards.
15 targets.
That's kind of crazy. But you look at it and you go, this is a gettable team who, to your point, Stoney, was 4-1 to begin with. Now, they have 5 wins more than Tennessee Titans. They may end up with 6 more wins than Tennessee Titans. But it's any given Sunday. That's the beauty of the NFL.
That's it.
With this defense, what do you see from this Jacksonville defense? We talked about that it's a middle-of-the-road pass defense, but the run defense, for the most part this year, has been a little bit better than expected. I mean, what do you think about the addition? They traded away Tyson Campbell for Greg Newsome.
Yeah.
What do you think about this Jacksonville Jaguars defense?
I think they have some guys that are respectable players that, aren't household names. I see like Andrew Wingard is leading the team with 11 tackles today. That's a guy that probably pretty decent. A lot of people don't know. A guy like Devin Lloyd has come into his own this season, the linebacker. You have Josh Hines-Allen. You have, what's the other? Trayvon Walker. They have these guys that can be multiple and do several different things, but they still haven't quite lived up to the potential just yet. So I do think they have some guys that you're going to have to scheme for, you're going to have to create matchups for and account for, but I don't think it is the unit that you faced each of these last 3 weeks where it's just like everybody at every level of the defense you have to account for. So I think there's going to be room to make some plays against these guys.
Jacksonville Jaguars end up winning in overtime 27-24. So they are 7-4 heading to you.
Okay.
Right.
It's crazy talking about a 7-4 team is struggling, but
yeah. Well, look at the right now you're talking about Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia, they were up 21-0. Now they're tied 21-21 with 3 minutes 34 seconds in the fourth quarter, and they're like the most dysfunctional 8-2 team you'll ever see.
And they're 8-2 though.
Yeah.
Trending to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I will say this. So that makes them now 3-3 in their last 6. This looks like a team that is 500 more so than it looks like the team that was 4-1 to start the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, final predictions heading into for our Eurofix look ahead. This will be the last part of our Eurofix look ahead. Who you picking? Because I'm picking Tennessee Titans. I'm just feeling it. I may regret that in 48 hours. I may have to go on cover 2 when we come back and say, maybe the Tennessee Titans. But I'm going Tennessee Titans. What you got?
I'm going Titans.
27-26 Titans.
There you go. Even with score prediction, Jackson, what would you pick?
I'm going 24-17 Titans.
There you go. I have clean sweep for Tennessee Titans. All right, that will do it for us. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, executive producer Rep Bryan, and Grand Poobah himself, Jackson Williams behind the glass. For the Dr. Kevin Dyson, the scholar Stoney Keeley, I'm the Professor Zach Lyons. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone.